Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Cobb Stadium in Coral Gables, Florida, as the ACC Digital Network presents the final weekend of ACC women's soccer. Tonight, we are on the campus of the University of Miami as the Hurricanes take on the Florida State Seminoles. Good evening, everyone, alongside Charlie Slagle, who's the CEO of Capital Area Soccer League, and our very dedicated crew down here in South Florida. Patrick Kinas with you. Glad to be with you. And Charlie, as you can see with the people tuning in right now, the rain on the lens of the cameras, the low camera angles, there's a hurricane bearing down just across Cuba on its way to the southeastern United States. And we're fortunate to get this game underway. This was originally scheduled to kick off a couple of hours from now.
It was supposed to be 7 o'clock, and now it is down to 5:15 or whatever. It was supposed to be 5, so we had they forced it earlier, and then they started it a little bit later than they thought. But we are now playing soccer.
All right, so we are underway, and again, we will bring you up to speed here. And again, a couple of the cameras with the heavy winds and the heavy intermittent rainstorms that we've seen over the last several hours here in suburban Miami almost rendered the field unplayable. But we are finally underway, and this is a big contest. Charlie, let's get to the kind of the permutations of tonight's contest. Florida State has already clinched the ACC. You see Florida State on your screen in the garnet and gold. And homestanding Miami, right now, they must win to advance to the ACC tournament. Anything short of a win over Florida State, and they will be outside looking in to the Final Eight.
Right, and they need that win, but any other conference in the country, you don't make your conference tournament even if there's only 4 teams or 6 teams. But here with 8 teams make it, you have no chance at the NCAA. Miami still has a chance at the NCAA, win or lose or draw here tonight.
Yeah, talking with Tom Adagnos, the head coach of Miami, he said as much a couple of days ago. He really feels like even if Miami does not make the field of 8 up in, I guess the first rounds will be at the host schools, and then the semifinals up in Cary. But he still feels if they are not invited, then it's going to be kind of a coin flip to getting Miami back to the NCAA tournament. But he is very confident that that's the case. Well, let's talk a little bit, Charlie, about the conditions. You're a long-time head coach. You've been involved in soccer for decades with the weather, the wind, the heavy ball, all of the sheets of rain that we've seen. How much does this change what we are going to see on the field in this game?
It will change a lot. The ball will do some strange things, especially when the wind is heavy. And it's sort of been coming in waves, sort of like the ocean. The waves are coming in, and then wind comes with it, and the rain might come with it. And we've seen in the last couple hours since we've been here where it has rained awfully hard, and then it has rained not so hard. You mentioned earlier in the day, it rained awfully hard, and then the sun came out. So we're not exactly sure what's going to happen. I don't think the sun's going to come out much more today because it's getting towards dark. And you know what I mean,
Are
Patrick?
you kidding me, son? That's not happening here today. And as you can see, we will do our absolute best to bring you the action. Where Charlie and I are located, you're not going to believe this. We're actually in the baseball broadcast booth at Alex Rodriguez Field, which is probably 150 or so yards away from the soccer field behind left field. And all the dedicated camera people, sound people, production people, they've done their absolute best to give you any kind of angles, any kind of shots and sounds of this critical contest tonight between Florida State and Miami. So bear with us if you see a lens get a little bit blurry because of the rain. It's only because Hurricane Sandy is about 12 hours away from our doorstep here in South Florida.
And may I say thank you, A-Rod.
Yes.
For this. We're pretty dry up here, Patrick.
Money well spent by my accounts. Well, let's now kind of dive in here. Miami in the home white uniforms. They come in 8-6-3 overall, 3-4-2 in the ACC. And this is Miami's final regular season game in the ACC. And you see the Hurricanes are a team that simply don't score a lot of goals this season, but here's an opportunity. Tara Schwitter is going to be lining up the free kick for the Hurricanes. Florida State in the road, garnet and goal.
A very dangerous situation here just outside the penalty area. Tara Schwitter.
And Schwitter goes low, and it's deflected off of his shin, and this will go over the sideline out of bounds. It will stay with Miami. So, again, let's talk a little bit about the Hurricanes and where Coach Adagnos has his Miami squad. They went a couple of rounds into the NCAA tournament a year ago. He's fairly new to the Hurricane program, really has begun to string not only solid years together, but very good recruiting classes. And we'll see one of his stars out there in Jasmine Patterson, number 15 in white tonight.
He's done a wonderful job here after coming here from Central Michigan, has done a great job with this program, has had unbelievable number of injuries this year, but last weekend the travel partners are right here playing against each other, and the number one team in the country went to BC and got beat, and then they beat Maryland, that being Florida State, and so they got 3 points out of the weekend, but Miami got 4 points on the road.
Here we see Ashley Flynn after a very nice individual effort turned in by Jamia Fields of Florida State. But again, the footing is going to be very treacherous. You can't tell on your screen, but the rains are coming down basically across the field, and it's been from breezy to extremely gusty. And again, we're talking about waves and bands of the hurricane. It's hard to believe that we're already getting the leading bands of Hurricane Sandy that is still several hundred miles away, but that is exactly what we are seeing here. The conditions as we landed earlier this morning, Charlie, were actually fairly nice. It was calm, it was overcast, but right around noontime today is when things really began to deteriorate.
It did, and as you said, it rained really hard for a while, and it's that circular motion, and here we got a very good chance for Horvath.
Yeah, Horvath was stopped by the goalie of Florida State, Kelly Weiss. But Kelsey Weiss has been outstanding all year in goal for Florida State. This is a very difficult Seminole team against which to score. And, Miami, and talking with Coach Andignos a couple of days ago about, the plan of attack against Florida State as Miami continues its pursuit, finally lassoed in by Kelsey Weiss. And he said the most difficult thing going into this game against Florida State is that they just hold the ball so much. So we're not going to have many opportunities to do any damage offensively.
But that is going to be taken away by these conditions. You need a nice flat surface, which it is, but it has puddles of water here and puddles of water there. The wind is going to make a difference. And let's talk about mentality. Florida State does not have to win this as far as being number one seed in the ACC. More than likely, doesn't have to win this to be a number one seed in the NCAA tournament. And they slowed the game down and didn't start at 5 o'clock because Florida State said they didn't think the conditions were good enough to play. Well, you put that into an 18 to 22-year-old mind, and they, may not play as hard for all of those reasons. And it's such a small difference between being at the top of your game as a team and being a little bit less than that, which will maybe cause a loss. And you got Miami who can play.
Yeah, which should give probably one of the reasons why we saw Miami already with a couple of good opportunities against Florida State, because psychologically, Florida State might not be exactly where they need to be. And we are, again, relocating some cameras to get you the absolute best shots for this match tonight. Florida State 15-1 and 8-1 within the ACC.
They've allowed 6 goals all year, 2 of which were against Minnesota in the first 7 minutes of their first game.
And why have teams found it just so treacherous to score goals with any regularity against the Seminoles?
Because they hold the ball so long. They hold the ball forever. Their possession is very good. The thing that's interesting about Kelsey Weiss, the goalkeeper, is not only is she down with she has a .43 goals against average, but she's also leading in save percentage. So it isn't like she's not getting any shots. She's making the plays when she has to. She's got a defense in front of her that is very, very good.
Yeah, she had 16 wins for Florida State last year. This year in goal, she's 14-1, 9 shutouts. This is a Florida State team that went over 930 minutes between goals allowed from early September to about the middle of October. And if you're just joining us here, Florida State in the Garnet and Gold on the road, and Miami, which needs a win to reach the ACC tournament, which begins this weekend. Miami 3-4-2 within the ACC. But, we'll talk now about some individual players to keep an eye on. Believe it or not, there are fans in the stands. We may be a couple of hundred yards away, but the diehard soccer fans here in Coral Gables are here. And once again, very slick terrain. The ball is going to be heavy, and it's very windy as well. And it's tough to do exactly what one of the Knoll defenders did right there, which is rise up and play ball out of the air, because it's almost like a cinder block coming against your forehead, right?
Well, one of the things that's a positive, if you were 25 degrees cooler and had this wind and the rain, then it's even more difficult. It is Miami 80, so we have that, but it is it isn't interesting conditions to play in, but they need to get this game in for the conference standings, and they're playing. And right now, it doesn't look like the players are in danger, and that would be what would stop a game.
Right, and we will, as far as we know, only unless there is lightning in the area would be the only reason for any stoppages. But as of right now, the referees have the final decision on whether or not this game is continued. And by all means, this is a game that they want to take to full time here tonight.
Yeah, so it looks like we have a goalkeeper substitution here early in the game, which is quite unusual. Is that what it looks like to you, Patrick?
Yeah.
We'll have to see what that number is.
We'll try and take a look and see who is now on in goal. So the Hurricanes have made an early change. Emily Lillard had been their goalkeeper basically all year long.
I'm assuming it's Vicky Alonso. No, I'm excuse me. She was the one that graduated last year. We'll have to find out who that is.
Well, on their roster, they have two other goalkeepers listed, Paula Ferrero Cabrera and also Abby Smith. And here come the Florida State Seminoles, who again have only lost one time this year. That was only a couple of matches ago, and really one of their first offensive pushes of this contest against Miami. They have owned this series. They lost the first two when these two teams did meet up over a dozen years ago, but now Florida State has taken 12 in a row. So it does appear as though Abby Smith is the new goalkeeper in for the University of Miami. We're still getting clarification.
It looks like it
well,
may
it looks like it may be Lillard.
It is Lillard. They may not.
Perhaps she did not start.
She did not start for some reason and ended up being the starter. So she came in as quick as she could.
I think I can figure out this puzzle here very briefly. As we see the University of Miami. Kim Hutchinson, number 17. And there's see Kate Horwath, who's had a great opportunity in the early moments of this game. But again, keep in mind this also is senior day here for the Miami Hurricanes. That might have been one of the reasons for a change as well. But again, we didn't have any official lineups given to us, so we're kind of feeling this contest out along with you. The Miami Hurricanes, that's Shannon McCarthy, 5'7" junior. Again, this team has just been beset by injuries over the last month and a half. Some fairly integral players on this side for Coach Anagnost.
No question. And if we're going to highlight some players for Miami, Emily Lillard, the goalkeeper we just talked about, who is now in 1.03 goals against average, a great distributor of the ball. She can kick the ball a long way, but also does it properly. You have Kate Horvath, who is a dangerous primary scorer, number one up top. And then Jordan Roseborough, you talked to Mark Krikorian, the coach of Florida State. She controls the tempo for Miami, and he was worried about all three of those players.
And there's a long free kick, deflected down by Lillard, kept alive by Florida State. And that is going to be shot. Oh, looked like Lillard just got a little bit of a fingertip on that punch attempt by Fields.
Yeah, that was headed off the line.
A beautiful bit of saving by Lillard, and also one of her defenders who is back to help out. So Florida State's best opportunity thus far, and you can see right there in the middle of your screen just how chopped up that this turf is already.
Yeah, Shannon McCarthy was the one that the freshman from Brighton, Michigan, had her first start the other day and played all the 110 minutes in the game and headed that ball off the line. Lillard had a little bit of trouble collaring the ball in the box, and the ball came back out, and as she was backpedaling to the goal, there was McCarthy at least holding on the line and heading the ball off from the line.
All right, so here the Hurricanes, again, just trying to maintain possession of the ball. This is going to be critical for their opportunities against Florida State here today. And Jarena will play it back to midfield, and the Florida State Seminoles will come the other way. And again, you can see Rain again picking up on the camera, people on the sidelines dressed up in some garbage bags if they didn't bring any umbrellas out there with to the stadium here today, doing anything they can to stay somewhat out of the path of Mother Nature.
And if you're looking at Florida State, we already talked about Kelsey Weiss, 0.43 goals against average, junior from redshirt journal from Coral Springs, Florida. The person that every team has to watch is Tiffany McCarty. She's on the Herman Trophy watch. 7 goals, 3 assists this year, a redshirt senior from Laurel, Maryland. And those are the players that you definitely have to watch, along with Casey Coleman, who is under 20 national team player and a world champion, along with a lot of other ACC players.
Yeah, the lion's share of that roster came from ACC squads. I think that's one of the reasons why, while it's great for Florida State to have won the regular season championship in the ACC, kind of a unique year because, a lot of the pieces, whether it's Duke or Wake Forest or North Carolina, have also had some key players gone for a good chunk of the non-conference and even leading into the ACC regular season.
Right, and we talked earlier that Miami could maybe lose this game and still make it to the NCAA tournament, and you wonder how that could be. And there's always it's big conferences or whatever. Last year, the ACC had 9 teams make it. In the round of 64, all 9 teams won. In the round of 32, 8 of the 9 teams won, and the team that lost to another ACC team. Mm-hmm. And when you get down to the nitty-gritty, 3 out of the final 4 teams in the country in the College Cup were ACC teams. And one of those wasn't North Carolina, who, if you look at how many ACC championships, North Carolina has 20. No one else has more than 1.
And I had a chance to watch UNC play against Duke last week, and even though they may be even possibly playing the first round in the ACC tournament on the road, this is a team. I mean, watch out when the NCAA brackets come out because they are really building some great energy moving toward the national championship tournament.
And they lost a lot of players with not only the 20s but also the 17s when they were playing in their World Cup, which they ended up with 3 ties.
This is Kim Hutchinson for Miami, number 17. And now Roseboro. And you see the Hurricanes again doing what they can to control the ball, control the tempo. We do not have a clock in line of sight here. We're about, though, 12 or 13 minutes into the first half. Again, this game was originally scheduled to kick off at 7 o'clock, moved up by a couple of hours, and then delayed by about 15 minutes as they checked to see if this field was indeed playable for this final ACC regular season game of the year for both the Noles and the Hurricanes.
And Sunday at 1 o'clock, all 4 quarterfinals at the higher seed home site, which means that no matter what Miami does, they'll either be playing on the road or not playing on Sunday, and no matter what Florida State does, they will be playing at home.
All right, Jarena takes it away for Florida State. But again, a very controlled approach by the Hurricanes so far. Hutchinson sends it just outside, I guess slightly inside the box. It'll be picked up by Weiss of Florida State. Well, let's talk a little bit about just what the conditions allows you to do or disallows you to do in a game like this. What is it doing as far as tactically and just simply controlling the ball?
Let's talk about water first. The rain isn't a problem. As once again, I talked about it's 80 degrees out here, 75 degrees. That's not going to be a problem, except when it's on the ground. You just saw a ball that was in a puddle, and when a soccer ball gets into a deep enough puddle, you're going to have to lift that ball. You can't kick it through it, and that makes a difference. So you don't want to pass the ball back to your goalkeeper as often as you do because it might stop. And so if the conditions get to that point, then that's a problem. The other problem is the wind, and it's going from one side, from the bench side to the spectator side, and that ball is going to make and change direction as it goes. And when somebody is trying to clear a ball, a defender is trying to clear the ball and miskicks it just by a little bit, it ends up coming right back in their face because of that. The wind can really affect a soccer ball. But, of course, both these teams are from Florida, and so there's wind a lot of times. It just isn't always with this precipitation at the same time.
All right, long throw in by Shannon McCarthy toward the corner and punched out by Jarena of Florida State. But in talking with Coach Anagnos a couple of days ago, he really spoke about a lot of the players because of the bevy of injuries, the players who have stepped up, and McCarthy is one of those who literally just moved into the starting lineup about a week ago. This left-footed attempt on a cross by Hutchinson a little bit too far. And here come, the Florida State Seminoles had an opportunity to break off, and that's going to be handled by Kelsey Weiss.
It's going to be a corner kick. She was out of play when she caught that, or the ball was at least out of play, which meant she was also. Once again, the whole ball has to go over the whole line, but it's in a plane. It doesn't have to touch down like it does in basketball.
And there you see now we have a graphic at the top of the screen. Again, it's been yeoman's work by the entire production team here, who have had to really jam in all of their work and make a lot of adjustments due to the weather and the situation we have down here. So the graphic is up, the clock is up. We're now about 17 minutes into the first half.
A yeoman's job.
It has not been easy. You can follow the rain on the track that surrounds the field to see, because it's going to be increasing in ferocity, and it'll be kind of fading off as this evening goes on. Let's talk about the year that the Florida State Seminoles have had so far. They come in, 15-1. They've been beaten only once. They got off to the best start in school history at 14-0 before they took a loss a couple of matches back against Boston College. Did a lot of people in the ACC and across the country see this type of year from our Krikorian Seminoles?
They were picked as third in the conference in preseason, but anybody, if you're a top 5 in the ACC, anybody can have that breakout season. And last year, of course, they won the ACC. They were 6th in the regular season, but came on and were very strong in the playoffs and in the College Cup tournament. So they are very talented, and right now you're not seeing vintage Florida State because they just want to possess the ball and squeeze you, as Tom Aganas said for Miami, the coach of Miami. They just keep on holding the ball, and playing defense is a lot harder than playing offense.
Is it easier on a night like this playing offense or defense?
If a ball's in the box, the advantage, any kind of unusual play is the advantage of the offense. And so a ball who stops or whatever can do that. But sometimes you can have a breakaway and the ball goes into a puddle and slows down and the player runs right past it.
There's a throw in from McCarthy, and headed right back to her. She'll send it across toward the back post. And a head attempt to try and just maintain possession goes over the end line. So this will be a goal kick for Florida State. We saw right before that throw in by McCarthy, she actually took it over to the stands where somebody had a towel she could wipe off the ball so she could get a good handle for that throw-in.
Yeah, but if she had to go as far as she did, then 2 seconds later, I'm sure it's pretty wet.
So Kelsey Weiss, goalkeeper for Florida State, sends it out to midfield. And again, for the most part, the aggressor in the first 19, 20 minutes of this match has been the desperate team, the Miami Hurricanes. Again, must win to reach the ACC tournament that begins this weekend. When you kind of break down the year that the Hurricanes have had, this is not a team that's loaded with offensive talent. I mean, it started a few months ago when they lost Tina Romagnolo to just a devastating leg injury, and then they've basically been falling every couple of weeks, it appears. There's an opportunity out front and finally cleared away by Florida State, but another great opportunity for Miami. But this has not been an easy year, and we both talked with Coach Anagnost earlier in the week, and you could hear it in his voice. I mean, he has not seen any team for which he's ever coached, whether it was here or at Central Michigan, where he has been hamstrung by injury after injury to key players. I mean, he's playing a lot of freshmen who probably wouldn't have played a whole lot of minutes earlier in the year. Now they're starting.
And he is, as he said, in awe of the ACC. He knew about it, obviously, being the Central Michigan coach, but getting into it and knowing that game after game that you're going to be facing these kind of teams. And they had some great early season. They beat Florida 4-1 in Gainesville. They tied West Virginia 0-0 in Morgantown. So, and then, of course, the ACC season. So this team is a very worthy team, and they want to prove it on the field today.
All right, so a little more than 20 minutes have gone by. First half, we were in Coral Gables, Florida. ACC finale between Florida State and the Miami Hurricanes. And you can see the rain once again building up on one of the cameras right off the field. That's Emily Lillard, who's been a terrific acquisition for the Hurricanes, transferred in from the University of Arkansas out of Overland Park, Kansas. And she is in goal for the Hurricanes. We were talking before this broadcast began about how difficult these conditions especially can be on a goalkeeper, maybe when it's a little bit chillier than what we're seeing here tonight, but while they may get a little bit of action here or there, for the most part, they're standing stationary, and the weather can have more of maybe a mental effect and impact on them.
No question that that could happen, that you stand back there, you want to keep moving and keep warm, but it's not easy to do.
Michaela Hahn, number 8 for Florida State. And there we have a foul going on Florida State. Or check that out, foul going on Miami.
I think I gave the Shannon McCarthy the header off the line. I believe it was Jordan Roseborough. Now that she was in a raindrop on the screen, I think, at that time.
So Weiss has that one broken up easily. Hutchinson for Miami sends it all the way across the field. And the Noles just trying to get some kind of consistent ball possession here. It's a great run made up the near side, and Michaela Hahn just couldn't quite get on it. Hutchinson was chasing. Kim Hutchinson, number 17 for Miami.
You're seeing the baseball scoreboard right there behind. Or I guess that's the windscreen, but that's the facility that Patrick and I are sitting at, and we can see part of the field, but the scoreboard does block our view. So we are watching and broadcasting from the screen just like you are.
Kind of breaking down the ACC standings. Right now, Miami with 11 points. There's a surprise win by Virginia Tech on the road at Wake Forest last night that suddenly put Virginia Tech into the field of 8 for the ACC championship. But if Miami knocks off Florida State here today, not only will it kind of be a win that resonates around the country and also through the ACC, but it would also knock Virginia Tech out of the ACC tournament over the weekend. All right, so here's an opportunity for Miami. They play it off near side. This is Howarth. Howarth being chased by Jarena. Sends it across. Oh, just missed. The Miami player diving down the box. That was narrowly.
Yes, we hear you. Thank you very much.
A narrow miss right there. A great cross by Howarth.
Good cross across the middle, and nobody there to finish it, but a good play. And once again, Miami has had the best of it so far in this game.
So you see the Hurricanes. They've really yet to make any major mistakes, and they have been the aggressor. This is Hutchinson again. Brings it up the left side, plays it down the sideline. Schwitter back to Hutchinson. Chips it for Howarth, heads it over the sideline. And this is Schwitter, an outstanding player for the Hurricanes. Really, she's been one, when you talk with the coaching staff, has really been able to kind of move into the spotlight with the injuries. Schwitter has played awfully well over the last month for Miami.
She has.
You can see the flags in the background, whipping around at around 15 to 20 miles an hour field level. If you rise up maybe 60 or 80 feet in the air, the American flag right behind the baseball stadium here. Full extension, about 25 to 30 miles an hour for the most part here tonight. And we'll get a first in-close throw-in for Florida State. Under 20 minutes to play, first half. And a throw in for the Noles off of a somewhat wet soccer ball, headed back into the corner. Played to the top of the box and booted away beautifully, and this may lead to a transition opportunity for Miami. We got a long pass down the side. If the grass doesn't slow it up, this will go out of bounds.
Kim Hutchinson made a very good run there, and Howarth put the ball a little bit too far in front of her.
Here's Enos Jarena, an outstanding defender for Florida State, very quick. Hutchinson, number 17, surveys. You can see how the hook of that pass and the win also took it away. And Howarth, a simple slip right there, and they will play on. That's a product more of the turf than it was a little bit of a nudge. Erin McGovern, number 13, she hits the deck. And the officials will stop play. Foul on Florida State.
This will be a dangerous situation. A little bit of an angle, which always helps. You can curl that ball so that the player can have a little bit more chance of heading it towards goal. When it's straight on, it's a little bit more difficult. You may worry about goalkeepers and being able to hold the ball, but the gloves that they wear these days, without question, a lot of them water them down before they play anyhow.
There's the Tiffany McCarty, number 14 for Florida State, trying to figure out exactly where she's going to line up. This will be Schwitter on the take for Miami. Sends it across. Oh, and a great deflection by Kelsey Weiss. That got all the way through unmolested. It is a lunging effort to Weiss's right. So let's take another look.
Here's the replay right here. Schwitter with the shot. The upper left corner. Good play by Weiss. And they called offside on the rebound. That's where the reason the ball did not go out of bounds. But the Miami players very aggressively trying to get in there for the second ball, and a little bit too aggressively, but as a coach, you want that to happen.
And in a game like this, I mean, as a coach, go on to the sideline. Is this a game where a breakdown, weather / mentality could cost you?
Yeah, it could, but the big thing you want as a coach here is to not feel sorry for yourself as a player. Just go out and play. Bad conditions. Yeah, but I'm already here. Let's go play. It's like when you go on the golf course, and it's 45 degrees, you say, okay, I'm already here. Why complain about this anymore? I might as well just go play.
I can't get any more wet would be the approach.
Correct.
So Weiss and Florida State will clear it down. And that will go untouched all the way over the end line. So Emily Lillard, the goalkeeper for the University of Miami. And so far, I think if you're Tom Adagnos, you're very pleased at your team's first half effort so far. You clearly have been the initiator in a contest like this. You've had a couple of great chances. But you're trying to beat one of the top goalkeepers in the country right now in Kelsey Weiss, and she's come up golden twice.
She's played very well, and as we said earlier, a lot of times you think that when there's only been 6 goals scored, it's all your defense in front. But her save percentage is high, and she's shown us today what she can do in goal.
And Miami once again wins possession. And they march it into their comfort zone. They'll play it up the near side. Hutchinson. A touchback. And McCarthy sends it in. And controlled by Florida State, Michaela Hahn, number 8, to get it out of trouble. And now in a rare counter opportunity for the Seminoles. Here they come down the left side. And again, watch number 14 for Florida State, Tiffany McCarty. One of the top goal scorers in the ACC, number 14, but she's been marked for the most part all game long through this first half.
The field is holding up, Patrick. You don't see the puddles as often as you would expect, especially if you've been down here and watched how much it has rained. Read in USA Today that they're 5 feet of rain since May 1st in Miami.
Oh.
That just seems crazy.
We're not quite sure what the average is, but it sounds like a huge number. As McCarty plays away there, you see a little bit of a puddle there that slowed down the entire energy. And here's an opportunity. Schwitter against Weiss. Oh, and Weiss comes up golden one more time. That's 3 big saves in this first half for Weiss. And now it's kicked out of trouble. And we'll go over the sideline.
Schwitter had a foul.
Oh.
Probably in a little bit of frustration. And
let's take one more look. And Schwitter, another great opportunity against Weiss here.
And the ball had been stopped through the puddle. A great ball. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. And what you saw out of Kelsey Weiss was she made herself big in goal. She made herself a target. Did not go early. Made the player, Schwitter, try to put the ball by her. And she was in good position. Made herself big. Had her hands down by her side. And did what the goalkeeper coaches teach you.
Now, Charlie, as you break down that play, was that weather-induced as far as an opportunity for the Canes?
It was. There's no question, because the pass back that was made stopped, and Miami stole the ball.
Right, Hahn trying to connect with Fields, and now you're beginning to see some bodies slip, almost using the turf to their advantage here. As we see the first half clock ticking down in the background, it shows almost 10 minutes remaining here in the first half. This is Jarena. Fields will turn to the inside, get it across over to the far post, headed over the end line. And a goal kick for Miami. But through the first 35 minutes of this first half, no denying what team has looked like the top team on this field, and it hasn't been the top-ranked Florida State Seminoles.
No, it's been the home team, and as we mentioned, they have a lot to play for here. They want to make it to the tournament.
And here's Schwitter, plays it ahead, and you can see that ball almost land and not even roll with the heavy rains that we've seen. Number 3, Casey Short for Florida State. You know, the chase is on. Fields is awfully quick, splits through the defenders, and there to help out and clear is Lillard. Flag goes up.
There's offside.
Offside on Florida State.
That was Michaela Hahn. Had started in an offside position, came back to get the ball. So it didn't look like when she received the ball that she was offside, but when the ball was played, she was in an offside position and thus making it offside when she was involved in the play.
You know, Charlie, we've been talking quite a bit about Miami's path, trying to get to the ACC tournament, trying to get to the NCAA tournament. I think they really feel with the schedule they've played, the results that they've had against some of the top teams in the country. Talking about, you know, West Virginia team that they went to a draw on the road. You know, they've played close losses against Duke, close losses against UCF. As here comes McCarty in Florida State. In this little build-up, McCarty plays off to the left and tackled beautifully, and looks like the officials will allow that to play on.
Well, Miami needed to play this game today, win or lose, because of RPI. And if they can get into the ACC tournament, whoever they play will help them also in the RPI. You can't take a bad loss, but if you take a close loss, get a tie, get a win, then you know you're moving up the ladder. And you know when they're trying to talk about those 64 teams that are going to be playing in the College Cup tournament, that RPI and who you've played has been very important. And you're finding that the ACC teams, they don't shy away from good competition outside of conference.
I think to me it has even a larger, kind of more global impact for the Hurricanes the next couple of years, because this team has just been so decimated with injuries as they're retreating here, and this will be curled up by Lillard. But because of all the injuries to a lot of upperclassmen, even if Miami does reach the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament, it's great experience for now a lot of young sophomores, and in particular a lot of young freshmen who just didn't log a lot of minutes this year, to be playing in impact game after impact game into the ACC and maybe the NCAA tournaments.
Well, they're teams that are finishing their season right now. Clemson's already finished their season. They know they're not going to the ACC tournament or the NCAA tournament. And yes, they can still practice if they want to. It's tough to practice without games coming up. But if Miami were to get here, or not even get here and wait to see if they got into the NCAA tournament, you get an extra week and a half of practice. And week and a half of practice is always going to help. You don't know who it's going to help necessarily individually, but as a team it's going to help. But there's going to be somebody who the coach can see and makes an impact, and it leads into the winter training, which leads into spring practice and then to next fall.
So Miami and Florida State as we wind down into the final minutes of this first half from very windy, very rainy Coral Gables. But the Hurricanes been mounting many of attacks here as Andrini is knocked off to play. Foul goes against Florida State's McCarty.
Was that Rindy? Is that what it was? Rain and rain and windy.
It's a little of both.
I like it. I like it. And I think the viewers need to know, I believe that the clock is a little bit behind what is actually there. So we may be stopping this half with about 3 minutes left to go.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised. I know the one shot we had with the official scoreboard in the background did look like there might have been a 3 minute and 15-second discrepancy or so on. But we will check on that. Here is Schwitter, had a Great opportunity for Miami just a couple of moments ago. Plays into the box. This is Howarth looking to kind of pivot around and just lost handle with the left foot. We'll see if that was deflected. Yes, it was. This will lead to a Miami corner kick.
That was Andrini. Take that ball with her left foot.
When you can almost see as Howarth was pivoting around in the center of the box, the defenders really didn't want to make a hard move at her for a couple of reasons. One, you don't want to pick up a silly penalty right there, or a foul that would lead to a penalty kick, as we see a sub coming onto the pitch for Miami. But also because I think they just are right now fairly uncertain of their footing.
Correct.
You make a mistake, you can be exploited for that first goal. Here's the corner by Miami. Howarth will head it on goal, and another head. Oh, just skims off the top of the crossbar.
That was by Roseboro. Howarth kept it in play.
We'll take another look and watch number 1, Cade Howarth, keep this alive right here. Number 1.
You'll see Roseboro right there in front of the goal. He headed it as Weiss came out. Weiss made a good play. She had to head it over her hands, and that probably helped make sure that the ball was high.
Yeah, Jordan Roseboro, one of the 5 seniors on this Miami team on senior night out of Mechanicsville, Virginia. Just 1 goal this year, but inches away from a second one against the regular season ACC champion Florida State Seminoles.
Senior night that became senior afternoon because of the early start.
It will be a memorable senior night years to come.
Remember when we played?
Yeah, played in the Hurricane. So this is Emily Lillard, sophomore goalkeeper. And we'll see what Miami can do here. There's Roseboro, number 6 again. And a whistle and I believe a foul on Florida State. Well, we shall see.
It's going to be a foul on Miami. As the Miami faithful, you may have to start worrying that you haven't gotten one yet, because you are playing against an awfully talented team who will be spoken to by Mark Krikorian that, hey, we're out here, let's play.
Yep. And you think that would be the gist of his speech? Get over it, let's go.
Yeah, no matter whether we play hard or not hard, it's still going to get you wet. It's still going to be this. You got a much better chance of getting hurt by not playing as hard as you do by playing hard.
All right, this is McCarthy. Plays it back, Roseboro, number 6. Now far up the right side, and Howarth can't get on it. And a throw in for Florida State.
And that's Mark Krikorian there in the red pants and the garnet pants and the gold top.
You'll get offended if you call it red.
I'm sorry.
The garnet and gold. Kept in by Florida State. And this will skid down the near side, still stays in play. And you can see just how tenuous Lillard is approaching that ball. Flag still standing at attention in the background, about 15 miles an hour. So the winds and even the rain for now have died down almost to really where they were earlier in the afternoon. But we know this is just a little respite of the hurricane bands that are just beginning to reach the southern tip of Florida.
We hope that those things are calmed down when our flights are leaving, don't we, Patrick?
We really do. Florida State, just 1 defeat all year, 15-1. They were 18-7-1 a year ago. Won the ACC tournament last year. And again, as Charlie said, they were picked number 3, but that's not because of a lack of talent or a lack of belief, but just the depth, the incredible depth in the ACC this year.
As good as they were last year, they may be better this year.
And why do you say that? What's amplified this year?
Not many graduations, and I think actually the under 20 World Championship allowed a lot of those teams to play new players. Kim DeCesar at Duke, for one, who got to play a lot and scored a lot of goals, was ACC Player of the Week at least once, I think maybe twice. You have players, and so when Kelly Cobb comes back or Molly Pathman comes back for Duke, or whoever it happens to be, you end up with players, and you're deeper. And I think that the teams are very deep.
Schwitter again. And Florida State, this is McCarthy. That was deflected. And the Seminoles will try to clear it away. And again, they've been under heavy artillery fire here in this first half by the U.
And it's not that Florida State isn't playing hard. They're playing hard. Miami's playing very hard right now, and they have definitely are the ones that are forcing their intensity to be matched.
So now we believe we're approaching about 3.5 minutes remaining in the first half. Not too many build-ups in this first 45 minutes for Florida State. Here's a little burst up the left side and some contact there. And this will be a goal kick here for the Hurricanes.
And that's halftime.
And that is going to be halftime. Again, we had that discrepancy with the clock, so that is halftime. That last little burst by Florida State. But so far it's been 45 minutes of energized soccer by the Miami Hurricanes here, but a 0-0 first 45 minutes. And Charlie, you take us into both locker rooms here and feel out what you think these players are about to hear.
Well, Tom Agnos will talk about how well they played and that we've got to finish it off. We've got to put the ball in the back of the net. I believe Mark Krikorian will say, let's pick it up a little bit. They are taking it to us. We can't allow them to take it to us. This is what happened against BC. And as he said in my talk with him earlier this week, is that BC deserved to win that game. They did not come out, Florida State that is, did not come out and meet their intensity.
If you want to lay out, you can lay out. You can put the slate online.
And so, and then with Miami, you know, Tom has got to be pleased, but they need a result. They need a result. Doesn't matter how well they play against somebody, they need to get the W. And so he's going to be concentrating on that, do the little things better that are there. He's going to be proud of his team, but there's more that they can do.
And you look across the season so far for Miami, they've gone to overtime 7 times. A couple of ties, West Virginia, Virginia Tech, Boston College. They beat Maryland in OT, beat Pitt in OT, lost to Duke, lost to UCF. And as you mentioned, Charlie, a draw does Miami no good. They have to sell out and find that first goal in the second half as they try to weather the storm, weather the ACC regular season champions, and try to weather the final 45 minutes. So Charlie and I will come back. More from halftime from Coral Gables. It's a 0-0 first half between Florida State and Miami. Back with more on the ACC Digital Network, presented by Ruby Tuesday after this.
Time.